Guys, we made it. Hey everybody, I'm Croc, aka Danny. I wanted to make a YouTube channel for the longest time, and here we are. There's so many cool things going on right now with DC Comics. There's a brand new initiative called Dawn of DC, and it's basically an initiative that brings in new comics every single month, where they have new jumping on points, where fans can get introduced to stories from new characters and old characters alike, and everything you pick up right now on the shelf is consistently quality. It's so good.
That was terrible.
This is probably the best time to get into comics right now since DC Rebirth back in 2016. We are halfway through 2023, and I wanted to talk about every single month, starting with January, when Dawn of DC began with Action Comics number 1051, and go until, without further ado, let's get into January. Let's start with Action Comics number 1051 by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Rafa Sandoval. Before Dawn of DC, Philip Kennedy Johnson was responsible for the Warworld arc that had Superman fighting for the freedom of Warworld against the Mongol with the help of the Authority. But now that he's back in Metropolis, we get to see the Super Family come together like never before to fight against the foes of the House of L. Currently, with the introduction of the Steelworks company by John Henry Irons, there's been the arousal of a new threat. Didn't like the word arousal. I feel like that was inappropriate. There has been the emergence of a new threat. Metallo. John Corbin.
You knew his name?
Yeah. But is there more to this than meets the eye?
That's a little weak.
But there's also bonus stories to read. Lois and Clark 2, written by Dan Jurgens and drawn by Lee Weeks, tells another lost story of young John Kent. For those who are missing young John Kent from the Rebirth days, this story is going to be for you. The other backup story in Action Comics is Power Girl, with the events of Lazarus Planet giving characters all throughout the DC universe new powers. Power Girl has found herself with new powers and is struggling to explore them with the help of Omen, Lilith Clay. It's really cool to see these two characters together and be able to have fun adventures diving into the minds of other superheroes in the DC universe, becoming almost like therapists to be able to solve their problems with Power Girl's new powers. But will she be able to solve her own problems, Power Girl? The story is written by Leah Williams and is drawn by Margaret Savage. Next story, next month. Now, moving into February, Catwoman by Tini Howard. There's a new Catwoman in Gotham, and it's not Selina Kyle, because she's in jail. Aiko Hasegawa, the old girlfriend of Selina Kyle, is back. And she's Catwoman now. She has the help of Tomcat as her sidekick. It's really cool to see the return of Aiko Hasegawa after several years of her absence, and she has a pretty sick Catwoman costume. While Selina Kyle is in jail, trying to figure out what to do next with her life after the death of one of her friends, in the pages of Tini Howard's Catwoman, it's really interesting to see where things will change with this new status quo. One note about Catwoman by Tini Howard is that the run started a few issues before the Dawn of DC rebranding. So if you want to be able to read the full story, go back a few issues and start there. On the screen, I'll tell you exactly what issue it is. Next up we have Superman by Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell, and is a return to form for Clark Kent as he's brought back to the Daily Planet and is fighting against some classic foes, such as Parasite, Livewire, and Silver Banshee. Superman has to turn to the help of Lex Luthor, who is in prison, to be able to solve these threats. But what does Lex Luthor have up his sleeve? Can he be trusted? It's really cool to see this book kind of return to Superman's classic roots with fun stories with top-tier art to follow it up. Next book. Guys, we're getting further along in the year. Now we're in March. In March, The Adventures of Superman, John Kent, written by Tom Taylor and drawn by Clayton Henry. It's a 6-issue miniseries following up Superman Son of Kal-El, also by Tom Taylor, exploring Superman being thrusted into the Injustice universe by the threat of Ultraman. Fans of the Injustice universe know that Tom Taylor is no stranger to the Injustice world. And now, Tom Taylor is putting two of his most notable books together with Superman Son of Kal-El and the Injustice comics and merging them. How will he fare in this world taken over by dictator superheroes? Will he be able to help save the day? Or is this world beyond repair? John Kent also has a set of new powers that allow him electricity. And honestly, I think John looks pretty cool with them. Next book. Wrapping up March, we have one of my favorite Dawn of DC books, Unstoppable Doom Patrol. The Doom Patrol are working as first responders after the events of Lazarus Planet, giving new characters in the DC Universe powers for the first time. Imagine the X-Men, but for DC, and with a lot less rules. Things are gonna get messy, but the Doom Patrol are gonna do their best to help the people who are in need. They just want to be able to help other people who are struggling with their newfound abilities, their newfound powers and mutations, and become members of society again, or at least aid them in their new journeys. Currently, it's only slated for 6 issues, written by Dennis Culver with art by Chris Burnham, but they've been given a bonus issue that will be tying into Night Terrors. More on that later. I think the cool thing about Unstoppable Doom Patrol is that each issue is almost like an anthology story, with a newly introduced character that needs to be saved by the Doom Patrol, and the Doom Patrol going to great lengths to make sure that happens. It's just really fun. Alright, we're in April now. Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow, #1, by Kenny Porter and Janoy Lindsay on art. This book also fucking rocks, dude. Let me tell you why. It's been such a long time since we've had a strong story with Superboy in the DC universe. With the new current era of the Super family being so big, Superboy is finding himself disenfranchised and has to rediscover himself. So, after going to the Fortress of Solitude and talking to Helix, he's found out in the galaxy people that need his help. So, Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, follows Connor Kent as he goes to explore far distant universes and meets other clones just like him. There's so much behind that character too. There's so much that he's been through that it's really cool to see him evolve to this place where he's more mature. He's got less of a chip on his shoulder and has a more balanced perspective and worldview and understands what the symbol of the House of El means and what it means to him. So it's really cool to find a series that's about him finding his place in the universe via trying to help others. Yeah, no dudes, it's really freaking good. The art in this book is fantastic. Chef's kiss, man. Next book. May is special because it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We Are Legends is an imprint made for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month that sees the launch of 3 new 6-issue miniseries starring original and new diverse characters. Spirit World, The Vigil, and City Boy. These books are also being integrated into the larger DC universe through ties to other books. The Vigil was introduced in Ram V's Detective Comics, Xanth from Spirit World got a story in 2023's DC Pride Special, and City Boy made an appearance in Wildstorm's 30th anniversary special, to name a few examples. Spirit World is a 6-issue miniseries by Alyssa Wong with art by Haining that sees the debut of the new character Xanth, who is a character who can travel between the spirit world and the real world and is able to manifest things from each dimension into the other one. Xanth must team up with John Constantine to save Batgirl from the spirit world, who has been whisked away there due to the events of Lazarus Planet Dark Fate. So Cassandra Cain, basically her big deal is that she's one of the best hand-to-hand combatants in the DC universe. It is a really cool way to see her have to test her skills when she's put in a spirit world where every single thing there is trying to kill her. Catch up now and see how they're gonna save Batgirl. Next book, we got The Vigil #1, written by Ram V with art by Lalit Kumar Sharma. This is a really exciting, high-stakes book starring this covert ops team of superpowered characters who band together to fight threats that regular superheroes in the DC universe don't often get the chance to acknowledge. This team is comprised of, do we know? Saya can basically wear anybody's face that they want to, and Dodge has the ability to basically move really fast, but it's more like their molecules aren't really connected to their body, and it's really kind of crazy. We haven't seen much from Arclight yet, but what we have seen from him shows off that he is an extremely powerful electrokinetic. This team's main mission is to intercept technology that in the hands of the general public would drive society to its end. We haven't really seen a team like this before in the DC universe, where it feels kind of morally gray, where we don't know where things are gonna go. Next book, City Boy #1, is written by Greg Pak with art by Minku Young. So this one's kind of crazy. I don't really know how to explain this one. His name is Cameron Kim. He has the ability, okay, so you know what like a telepath is, right? And you know what like maybe like a technopath is? They have the ability to interact with technology and electricity, stuff like that. So imagine a city path. Just imagine a city path. He's able to interact with the city and also like, you know, maybe like open up the sidewalk and swallow himself whole or swallow something else whole. Or maybe he can like, you know, scavenge, like, you know, find loose change in the grass or something like that. It's really a weird concept, but I think the fact that it is so outlandish makes it that much more interesting to read. Cameron Kim can also talk to the city in the form of like an avatar. Like for Gotham City, for example, it's a rat, but other cities have different avatars, and in this book we'll be able to see the exploration of cities like Coast City, Bloodhaven, and more. So I'm really interested to see what Greg Pak does with that. Cameron is just also a really compelling character too. Like he's coming from a really tragic past where he lost his mom, he got experimented on to get these powers. He definitely has a chip on his shoulder and a lot of baggage. Somehow, light spoilers for the end of the issue, he's got coming after him. So I don't know how he's gonna deal with all that. I'm really excited to see where this book goes. So overall, the We Are Legends imprint that DC is doing right now has been actually really cool. I know DC has tried to do stuff like this in the past with introducing new characters to varying success, but each series is compelling in its own way. It already feels very organically interwoven with the rest of the DC universe in a way that makes it feel vital to read. It makes it feel important and also just like an exciting new chapter in the DC universe to follow. So I've been really enjoying We Are Legends. May. Next book, Shazam #1, written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora. This book is fantastic. Imagine the classic era of Captain Marvel with the Shazam family. Captain Marvel Jr., Mary Marvel, Tawny the Tiger, that weird uncle. It's all kind of coming back now. It's really cool to see this hybrid evolution of the character that sees his new 52 status quo mixed with his old classic status quo, bringing him together to become this character referred to only as the Captain, not as Shazam. Billy Batson is struggling with his powers. Something's going on that's making him act erratically and out of character. His family is trying their best to figure it out and see what's wrong with Billy. But is he able to be a superhero if he can't even trust himself to be one? It's really refreshing to see this take on Shazam after it feels like the character has kind of been in limbo with DC not really knowing what to do with him. This feels like a very strong foot forward in a direction that'll make both older fans and newer fans of the character happy. The art on this book by Dan Mora. Well, let's talk about Dan Mora real quick. Dan Mora is like DC's golden child right now. The way he draws, it feels like it's able to capture that classic Silver Age essence almost, but with a modern spin that just feels like the perfect marriage of classic and modern that really also just fits the tone of this Shazam book with a new suit for Shazam too, which is just like perfect. It looks so good. I cannot stress to you guys enough. Even though we're only 2 issues in, this feels like what a Shazam comic should ideally feel like. Next book. We have Green Arrow by Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs. This is the first Green Arrow book we've had in a few years, and it follows Green Arrow after the events of Dark Crisis, where he supposedly quote-unquote died, but no, he's lost in a corner of the DC universe. This book is really interesting because Green Arrow has a very convoluted history that has a lot of characters. And this is the first book that sees all those characters really brought together with a lot of really satisfying reunions, a lot of revamped costumes, which I can tell Sean Isaacs put a lot of effort into designing. And now after all the retcons, after all the changes to the family, we get to kind of see them all come together. But this time Ollie's missing, but he doesn't want to be found. It's really nice to see characters like Connor Hawke, Leon Harper, Roy Harper, Black Canary all kind of brought together again. And now they're also up against threats like Amanda Waller, who is like the big bad of the mainline DC universe right now. So it's kind of a big deal. It kind of makes this book a really important one to follow right now, as she is one of the primary threats in the DC universe as a whole right now, along with Peacemaker. What are they up to? Please tell me. We'll find out the further and deeper we get into Dawn of DC. Next book, we have Green Lantern by Jeremy Adams and Zermanico. In Green Lantern, we get to pick up with Hal Jordan a couple months after he's been isolated from the Corps and the Guardians, and now he's on Earth. But Earth has been quarantined, and we don't exactly know why. After severing his ties with the Guardians, Hal's given up his ring, but somehow he's been able to use his willpower to manifest a new one. He's also living in a trailer with Kilowog right now, and that's just fantastic. I love seeing Kilowog. I love... Anyways, they also incorporate a lot of Top Gun into Hal Jordan's character. Hal tries to get back together with longtime lover Carol Ferris. It doesn't really work out. Carol is currently seeing somebody right now. Hal tries to get a job back at Ferris Air. Carol's not having it, and we get to see the cocky attitude of Hal Jordan as he's kind of just always on his ass. This book is basically bringing Green Lantern back to basics after a lot of history and a lot of lore that's been incorporated and compounded on over the last decade or so, and is just a pretty good jumping on point. In the backup, we get to see John Stewart finally come back to Earth, and he wants to get away from it all. However, will the powers that be in the DC universe let him? The answer, in short form, no, dude, of course not. Cyborg #1 sees Victor Stone returning to his hometown of Detroit after the passing of Silas Stone. He has to deal with a lot of complex emotions and feelings about everything going on right now with his hometown, his community, and his family. And he's struggling to grapple with all of the things going on right now around him. He wants to streamline and make things a lot more simple. He's trying to avoid the issues he had with his dad and his feeling of almost indifference at his death. However, he's not able to because his dad made this crazy robot that's implemented his own consciousness within it that's now confronting Victor, and it's not allowing Victor to move on and is forcing him to deal with it head on. Morgan Hampton is a journalist, so he's able to incorporate this authentic way of following the community around Cyborg and around Detroit as they talk about current events and issues going on that kind of round out the setting that the book is taking place in right now. The art by Tom Rainey is hyper detailed, so you get to see a lot of really nitty-gritty details and a lot of creative ways to incorporate things like panel layouts that I don't see used very often in books. Also, both Flashes wear tuxedos over their superhero suits at a funeral, so we get to see that happen too. That's cool. Anyways, next book, Titans by Tom Taylor and Nicholas Scott. After the events of Dark Crisis has dissolved the Justice League, this book sees Nightwing bring the Titans into Bloodhaven. The Titans have some massive shoes to fill as the Earth's primary superhero team. Dick Grayson brings together Starfire, Donna Troy, Beast Boy, Raven, Cyborg, Wally West, all together again under one roof. And while they're not the Justice League, it is really nice to see this family back together again. However, not everyone's exactly happy about the Titans filling in for the Justice League. Mainly Peacemaker and Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller wants power. She doesn't want to claim herself as Earth's protector, but as Earth's controller. And the Titans have issue with that. So we get to see these two forces clash, as well as the Titans deal with a lot of their own classic threats, like Brother Blood and the Church of Blood. Like the fact that Wally West's body turned up dead, as well as Garth seemingly working for Brother Blood. So there's a lot of things going on in this book. It'll be really interesting to see how this one plays out. Next book. Lastly, we have Steelworks by Michael Dorn and Sami Basri. After the introduction of Steelworks in Action Comics, we get to kind of understand what John Henry Irons' end goal is. He wants to empower the people and remind them that Metropolis, a super city of tomorrow, wasn't built by Kryptonians. It wasn't built by superheroes. It was built by the people. just average people who had dreams of the future, and they were able to make those dreams come to life. In a world propelled forward by metahumans and superheroes and aliens, it's so easy for the average guy to just rest on their laurels and to not try as hard anymore. John Henry Irons wants to implement his technology all throughout the city to give civilians an edge, so they don't have to rely on the same 20 super people. However, by doing this, John Henry Irons is painting a target on himself, and a lot of powerful people want to see him taken down. So that about covers all the books that are out right now for Dawn of DC. We have a lot of books coming up too though. There's so much more to get into in the DC universe. We have Hawkgirl, which I'm really excited for. It's seeing the introduction of Galaxy, one of the newest DC characters being brought into the mainline DC universe. Hawkgirl will be written by Jadzia Axelrod with art by Amanke Nahulpen. This summer we'll see the beginning of the first big event for Dawn of DC, which will be Night Terrors. And it's going to be a horror-themed event by Joshua Williamson. And the main book will be drawn by Howard Porter, but it's going to go throughout the entire DC universe. So I'm talking like almost every single book coming out in Dawn of DC will get a Night Terrors tie-in. So that'll be pretty cool to see horror injected into the DC universe and the titles going on right now. After Night Terrors wraps up, we'll also be seeing another event, Gotham War, that'll see Batman and Catwoman butting heads in a war for Gotham's soul, in a story by Chip Zdarsky and Tini Howard. And we'll also get to see more books. In September, we'll see the launch of the new Wonder Woman book and the new Flash book. There's a lot of really cool things to get excited for down the pipeline. So if you feel like you're late now, don't worry, there's still going to be more. Anyways, this brings a wrap to the first video. If you like this format of video, please let me know if there's things you would like to see me talk about, things you would like to see me cover, things that you think that maybe I should do differently next time. I'm not going to shave the mustache. I'm not going to shave the mustache, dude. I would love to hear it, so tell me below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell if you want to see future videos from me. If you want to talk more about Dawn of DC, I also have a Discord channel, which I'll have the link to below. Or you can just tweet me at croc_block on Twitter. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Dude, making a YouTube channel is hard, man.